Final Fantasy. There's a lot of them. I've never played a Final Fantasy game before. Recently, I decided to play all of them. Now, I'm going into this completely blind, and I won't be searching up anything, no guides, no nothing. All I know about them is that none of them are connected, like they're all their own standalone things, so you can play them in whatever order you really want. I myself will be playing them in numerical order, with a couple of spin-offs afterwards. And, at the end of it all, I'm gonna rank them all. So, fun fact, as I was preparing to make this video, 6 hours of footage just up and disappeared. Like, it just deleted itself. Isn't that amazing? You just gotta love that. So, until we get to the point where the rest of my footage starts, you're just gonna have to bear with these images I found on Google. As you can tell by the thumbnail and title, in this video I played through Final Fantasy 1, the Pixel Remaster version, which has some great quality of life stuff. The gameplay of Final Fantasy 1 is very simple turn-based combat, and also a ton of walking. I'll get back onto the combat a little bit later. Final Fantasy 1 begins with a cutscene explaining that the world is dying because the 4 elements that make up the world are rotting away, and that a prophecy declares that 4 heroes shall appear and bring light back to the world. So, the squad. You get 6 choices of classes. You get the warrior, the thief, the monk, the red mage, white mage, and black mage. You can only have 4, so I decided to go with what was already selected, because I felt that that was natural. One thing I really didn't expect is that none of these characters have names, and you get to name them, which really surprised me because I thought Final Fantasy was all about named characters. But hey, here's the crew. Thug, the warrior. Thug specializes in heavy melee attacks, and being a tank, really. Sock, the thief. Sock also specializes in hard-hitting melee attacks, but he's not quite as tanky, especially in the end of the game. He's significantly squishier. Cat, the white mage. Cat uses healing and buffing spells, as well as anti-undead spells. Sai, the black mage. Sai uses elemental magic, so mainly attack spells and a couple debuffs too. We begin and spawn on the world map outside of a city. The lovely Cornelia. City of Dreams! At least according to this citizen. Now, I'm gonna admit, I have a habit of exploring every single nook and cranny, as well as talking to every single NPC. Luckily for you, you're not gonna have to sit through that. So we enter the castle and speak to the king and his advisor. Upon seeing the crystals we carry, the king is convinced that we are the heroes of prophecy. His advisor is more skeptical, and that's totally fair. So the king tasks us with saving his daughter, the princess, who was kidnapped by their kingdom's former greatest knight, who turned traitor, Garland. No one in this kingdom can hold a candle to that guy. So if we could beat him and save her, we absolutely must be the heroes. And if we do it, he'll reward us by fixing the bridge that we need to cross to get to the first crystal. So we leave the city on our way to get to the shrine. And on our way there, we get into our first battles. Some goblins, some wolves, your typical fantasy monsters. Even a horse shows up, and Sai gets his skull caved in. So, we go back to the city, we go to the inn, we spend 30 gil to heal everybody up, we wake up in the morning, Sai's still dead. Because apparently you gotta go to the church and the priest will revive him. Another 40 gil. Oh my god. Once he's revived, he's only got 1 HP. Cat doesn't have any healing spells yet, so that's another 30 gone. I just spent 100 gil on this man. I swear to God, Sai's gonna put me in debt. So, we make our way to the Shrine of Chaos to save the princess. But right outside its front doors, suddenly, hunts. And there's 4 of them. And that fight went a little something like this. This was my first death of 3. Throughout my entire playthrough, I only lost 3 times, and this was the first one. So anyway, I reloaded my save and continued to the shrine once more. But this time, I avoided horses like the plague. Finally, we make it to the shrine, and inside awaits Garland, and we decimate his ass, saving the princess and then returning to the king, who, upon seeing successful completion of saving his daughter, he has the bridge rebuilt for us. Thank you, king. Very cool. Oh, and the princess gives us a lute? I don't remember using this thing. Oh well, I'm sure it's not important. After a little bit of exploring, we stumbled upon a cave. Inside was a woman named Matoya. She was crying about how she lost her crystal eye and that now she's blind. Like they say, can't have shit in Detroit. We made our way to the town of Pravaka? Oh well. I remember hearing from a guy in Cornelia that it was overrun by pirates. And sure enough, once I got there, I was jumped by 2 guys, and after whooping their asses, the captain decided to change his ways of life and give us his boat. Very epic. With our newly acquired ship, we make our way across the ocean to the village of the elves, Elfheim. Unfortunately for the elves, the elven prince has fallen into an eternal sleep due to a curse from the evil dark elf king Astos. But before we get into any of that, the magic shops here had a lot of spells I wanted, but Sai spent all my money on himself, putting me in debt. I frickin' told you this would happen. I then had to go hustle for some money to buy yet another spell for Sai and some for Cat, who didn't get any. Thanks a lot, Sai. Your greed sickens me. Also, there's a little Easter egg here. If you go up to the graves, the first grave says, "It's a grave." The second grave says, "It's a grave." And the third grave says, "Here lies Link." Nice Easter egg. Very cool. We then ventured into a cave, and in the depths of that cave, we found a crown that was protected by piss demons, and they were pissing me off. Now, I found this by accident because I was just a loot goblin. I'm glad I did find it because apparently it was a key item that you needed to fight Astos. I think he's supposed to like trick you into finding it for him, but we found the crown before we found him. So then we did find him, and he yells at us that we're fools for falling into his trap by bringing him the crown. Like, dude, I don't even know you. What the hell do you mean? Anyway, he then goes off saying something about with this crown and this crystal eye, he's gonna be all powerful or something. Clearly not, because he ended up as a red little puddle. We then grab the crystal eye from the puddle and take it back to Matoya. She thanks us by giving us a special jolt tonic that could wake someone up from any sleep. She then says she thought we'd be more attractive. I don't know why. I think she means Sai. We then head back to Elfheim and give the caretaker to the prince the tonic. He gives it to the prince, and the prince wakes up for the first time in 5 years. He then sees us 4 heroes and gives us a mystic key that he was entrusted to give to us. That was great. That opened up a ton of doors and got me a ton of loot. I would explore around and find nitro powder somewhere. I don't remember where. I would then sail to the only place I haven't been yet and find a dwarven village. They would tell me some nice info. Like there's a giant somewhere that eats rocks, although he loves gems the most. And there's a blacksmith there saying he wished he had adamantite, and if he did, he would be able to make a really strong sword. Interesting. I then gave some of the nitro powder to a dwarf at the bottom of the cave, and he blew up Hawaii. This allowed me to sail across to the rest of the world, where I would find another village, but this one was pretty devastated because they were so close to the earth crystal that was rotting. They felt the effects of it the most, and I think they were also sieged by a vampire, which kind of sucks for them. Sai would once again put me in debt. This man never stops causing me problems. He's a burden, and frankly, I don't think that sentiment will ever change. Dude, Sai, you are like carrying, you are insane. You're basically our MVP. You are amazing. You know, whoever says Sai is useless is an idiot.
Yeah, it was you.
I don't know. I think I would remember saying something like that. We made our way to a cave, and at the bottom of the cave we found Le Vampire. If you remember from the beginning of the video, Cat has anti-undead spells. The vampire tasted Cat's holy beams and is no longer among us. There was a ruby on his corpse, so we took that and explored the rest of the cave. But it just led to a dead end. There was a tablet at the end of the hallway, but we couldn't interact with it. So then we went to another cave, and in that cave was the giant that eats rocks but loves gems, and now we had a gem. So we gave him the ruby, he ate it, and then just disappeared. So we proceeded onward out of that cave and into yet another cave. And in this one, there was a sage who gave us an earth staff and explained to us that the vampire was simply a minion of the true fiend of earth, the one actually corrupting the crystal of earth, and that we should use this staff he gave us on the tablet that was at that dead end. So we go all the way back and use the staff on that tablet, and it turns into a staircase. At the end of this newly opened up cavern, we find the first of the 4 crystals that it is our job to purify, the earth crystal. But standing before us is the fiend of earth, the Lich. A Lich? Sai, Cat, eviscerate his ass! They proceed to light him up with fire and anti-undead magic. He is toasted. We then lift up our crystal and purify the earth crystal, saving the world by 1/4. There are only 3 crystals remaining. After purifying the crystal, we set sail once again, finding yet another little village. In this village, there is a large circle of sages. They explain to us that the 4 elemental crystals are corrupted, that a fiend guards each one, we're the chosen ones who have to light them back up, the world's dying, you know, stuff we pretty well already knew. They also explain that defeating the Fiend of Earth has caused the Fiend of Fire to wake up early, and that she lives in a volcano right by this village. And this sage gives me a canoe. Thank you, Wizard Man. Very cool. We canoe around for a while, lost looking for the volcano, while Sai annihilates the local wildlife. We eventually do find the volcano, and I hate this place. As you can see, you have to walk on lava, and that hurts, and it's really annoying. We power our way through the volcano and make it to the 2nd crystal. Already, I know, right? But before us stands the Fiend of Fire. Marilith, or Marilith. It's one of the two, maybe. We destroy her and restore light to the Crystal of Fire. That's 2 of the 4 crystals done. Only 2 more left. We proceed to get lost again. But I eventually accidentally stumble upon an ice cave. And you know what? I don't like this place either. You fall through the stupid floor. Of course, it's actually very easy to avoid falling through the floor. But I'm blind. Also, this place leads to my 2nd death. It's a bit self-imposed, granted. See, when Sai died at the beginning, it like desynced the amount of XP he has. So Cat, Sock, and Thug all have the same amount of XP and then Psy's behind. And in this battle, Sock, Cat, and Psy are dead, but Thug was fine and he could have won easily. But then there'd be even more XP out of sync, and I didn't want that, so I just threw. And that was my second of my 3 deaths. Oh, and eventually, going through the cave, I would find a Levistone, which I heard rumors in some of the towns that there was a broken airship somewhere, so I knew what I needed to look for now. And I remember there's a desert near the bottom of the map, and I was like, that's kind of out of the way. It's kind of weird that they'd have a whole new biome down there for an area I would never go to because there's nothing there. So I went there, and lo and behold, a cutscene played of the airship coming out of the sand. And now we really move speed. With our brand new airship and the ability to fly across the entire map, we head to the very first village on the top continent that I could see. And we couldn't understand a single thing anyone said there. So we then went to the second village I could find. And there I was told that there used to be a fairy that lived there that could draw out a special resource from their pond called Oxio. Unfortunately, she's been kidnapped and sold. Yikes. Also, that there's a tower in the desert called the Mirage Tower. Now, I had seen this tower while flying by, and it also appeared in the cutscene at the beginning of the game. But now I had a name for it. I found the Citadel of Trials. Ooh. So, I went in, and the wizard inside said that only those with true courage can complete the trials. And they would get a token of their courage upon completion. And then he just dipped. The trial was just a really simple teleporter puzzle with a fight at the end. And my token of courage was a rat tail. I loved having that in my pocket for the next while. We left the citadel and flew around for a while until we found some holes in the ground. Upon exploring those caves, we found that there was dragons! But they were friendly. And a couple of them told me that the Dragon King Bahamut would reward those with courage. And I have proof of courage with the rat tail. So I would go meet Bahamut, and impressed with our courageousness, he upgraded our classes. Thug the warrior is now Thug the knight. Sock the thief, now Sock the ninja. Cat and Psy were white and black mages, now wizards. I was pretty stoked about this, so naturally, I spent a small fortune on spells. And I'm glad I did. Cat got his first attack spell that doesn't only hit undead, called Holy. I still think it does more damage to undead, though, with it being holy and whatnot. And normally, I would yell at Psy right now. But 1, he didn't put me in debt this time, and 2, he's pretty well my MVP right now. He's come a long way from being the burden he once was. To be honest, he's kind of the GOAT. So not knowing where I should go next, I went to the desert, and very quickly realized I wasn't supposed to be here yet. Bye! So after leaving the desert because I didn't want to end up as lunch for a T-Rex, we would now fly to the final continent we hadn't been to yet. And in the final village, there was a little girl who built a submarine. I think it was a little girl. Anyway, she built a submarine out of a barrel, but there was no air, so it didn't work, which made her sad because she wanted to go save the mermaids. Anyway, another person in this town told me where the caravan was that had the ferry. So I went to the caravan, bought the ferry for 40,000 gil, but before I returned to the mountain village to release her, I made a quick stop at the waterfall because I heard multiple citizens say that they saw something fall over here. And sure enough, I found a robot who said he had been looking for me and gave me a warp cube. I would then now fly back to the mountain village and release the ferry. At the pond in the village, she would then give me Oxio as a thanks for saving her. Oxio is a special resource that provides air, With the Oxyel in hand, we return to the village that had the submarine. I show the little girl I have it, and I take her submarine down to the water temple. Yo, so editing cat here, I noticed when I watched back the footage that she just disappeared into the water. And I remember that one of the mermaids in the temple said that one of the mermaids disappeared. So that wasn't a little girl, that was actually the mermaid that left her home to try to look for help. Just clarifying. I just realized. Now, I think you're supposed to go upstairs and talk to the mermaids, and they'll tell you that the Kraken is guarding the water crystal, and that if we don't purify it, they're all gonna turn into sea foam. But I didn't go upstairs. I went down and found the water crystal first, because I thought that was the wrong way to go. Anyway, we defeated the Kraken and purified the third crystal. Now there's only one left. And then I would go upstairs to where the mermaids are and talk to them all. Also, they had a lot of money up there. And I got a Rosetta Stone in that place. That's important because one of the people in town said that if their brother had the Rosetta Stone, they could decipher an ancient language. The same language that those people in the first village I went to when I got the airship were speaking. So, I went to the destroyed village, learned their language from that guy using the stone, flew all the way back to that ancient village, and talked to the populace there. They explained that they are the descendants of an ancient, really advanced race that used to live in the sky, but they got kicked out of their sky fortress by the wind fiend Tiamat 400 years ago. They also informed me that the Mirage Temple was the only way to the sky fortress. And one of the guys there gave me a pass to get into the Mirage Tower. So thank God I didn't go there before, because I wouldn't have been able to get in anyway. So we head through the desert and get to the tower. We use the pass to get in, and we climb the floors of the tower till we get to the top. There's a dragon standing in front of the door. Because you can only use cottages outside, I've had to climb up in this tower like 10,000 times, so this poor dragon has been slashed like 1,000,000 times because he respawns every single time you go through here. Anyway, we put the warp cube into the console and we teleport up to the Sky Fortress. We can then peer through a window showing the entire world below and how each of the energies of the 4 crystals are congregating in the center of the world where the Chaos Shrine is. So, we then make our way through each floor of the Sky Fortress, and floor 4. I don't get it. It seems to be an endlessly looping pathway. I don't know how you're supposed to figure it out. I just walked really far in one direction, stepped on the teleporter, and it worked. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be done, but it worked, so hey. We then crossed the final bridge in the Sky Fortress, and there it is, the final of the 4 fiends, Tiamat. Now, there were robots throughout not robots, there was computers throughout the Sky Fortress saying, scanning, Tiamat, no weaknesses found, which kind of scared me, but I was able to deal with Tiamat pretty easily. And after Tiamat's defeat, we lit the final of the 4 crystals. Now, all 4 crystals were purified. Now, back in that town that had all the wizards, one of them said to go back there whenever I had killed all 4 fiends. Before I headed over there, I found some adamantite in the Sky Fortress. So I went over to the dwarven village and gave it to the dwarf, and he crafted me... Oh yeah, that boosted my confidence. Then I went to where all the sages were, who explained to me that the foe is 2,000 years in the past, somehow. And that we gotta go to the Chaos Shrine and go 2,000 years in the past to defeat this great wrath. So, once more we head to the Chaos Shrine. I made sure to pay back those horses that curb stomped me at the beginning of the game too. Anyway, it was around this time that I had also noticed that I was only like 4 achievements away from platinuming the game. And one of them was being level 50. So I spent a little while grinding up to level 50. And you know, when I was one-shotting everything, I had Excalibur, Sai was cooking everything. I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm over-leveled. I'm gonna one-shot the boss. Oh well, it's fine. So, I get to the first boss. Yeah, first, because you gotta fight the 4 fiends again. As I said, I'm over-leveled and I'm gonna destroy them. So here is me getting my shins kicked in. Yeah, that was horrifying. Now I'm scared about what the other 3 are gonna be like. We recover, and then we go and we fight the second one. We fight Marilith again, and none of us die on this time. Then we fight the Kraken again, and none of us die. And we fight Tiamat once more. None of us die. I was just more shocked at the first one, I guess. But now, we are on the final boss. We enter the final room. And the boss waiting for us, this great wrath, is Garland? The first guy that we defeated? And when we saved the princess? He explains to us that when we beat his ass, the 4 crystals sent him into the past. And in the past, he sent the fiends into the future to mess everything up so that he would be created, thus creating an endless cycle and paradox of which he creates himself. And it is our job to sever this cycle and end this endless loop. It is our job to slay him one final time. And as this was the final boss, I'll just let you watch my fight against him. Enjoy. I'm sure as I play more of the games that my ranking will change, but for now, honestly, there wasn't a single moment throughout the entire game that I was bored, and honestly, I genuinely loved it. So I'm pretty confident in that A tier for now.